Welcome to the Scandi Shift.
The podcast where two expat moms talk honestly about surviving, thriving, and building a happy life in Copenhagen. I'm Selena.
And I'm Meg. We've talked about doing this for months now, right? So we're recording our first episode, even with me having a hoarse voice and sounding a bit like a frog.
You do sound a little bit like a frog.
But I think we both wanted to do this so badly that we're like, just do it. Let's get it out there.
That's right. Yeah, we've talked about it since, I don't know, the summer.
Yeah.
Sometime around the summer. And we had a whole other idea of something to do. And then, one day you just rang me up and said, you know what? I think we should just do a podcast.
Exactly.
And my reaction was,
you're like, hell no.
But here we are.
Doing a podcast.
And of course, I'm really happy that we decided to take the plunge, so to speak. And we've had a lot of fun so far, even just getting to this stage. So I'm really excited to see what happens going forward.
Me too. So let's get started. Why don't we just talk a little bit about who we are and what brought us here?
Should I go first?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm Selena. I'm British, just in case that's not obvious with my voice. I'm born and raised in England. Moved here about 8.5 years ago. I'm married to a Dane. So there's part of my reason for moving here.
Yeah.
Now 3 kids, 6 years and under. Yeah, and just, taking me a while, but now I'm kind of really loving life here. Copenhagen is home for me now.
Yeah. It's funny. So I've been here a lot less time than you. Actually, by the time you guys all hear this, it'll be right at my 1-year anniversary of us having moved here. Clearly, I'm American. It's a strong American accent. Originally, actually, from the East Coast for Americans who want to know. From nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And then moved here last January with my Danish husband from San Francisco. We have one little boy. He's 4 years old, going on, I'd say 40. But in reality, he'll be 5 in the coming spring. And even though we've been here a very short period of time, I agree with you. It feels a lot like home. There's definitely bumps and adventures and still a lot of, what do I do? What's going on? But we moved here a lot because we wanted something different. I was actually the push to move here. Everyone thinks it was him dragging me here, kicking and screaming. And if anything, it was the other way around, where I was like, no, let's do this. We've talked about it. I lived in Europe before. I really wanted to move here. I really wanted a life that involved us being able to spend more time together as a family and focusing on our little one while he's little and time together and us being a couple again. And that's what I felt like Denmark would bring us.
Yeah, exactly. I have some of similar reasons to you why we ended up here, actually. Is same thing about people could assume, okay, so you obviously moved here because, you're with a Danish guy, and it's actually not as clear cut as that. We both lived and worked in London, and he got a job offer here. And I remember him distinctly saying to me, wait, I'm not sure I'm done with the London adventure. And then I was like, you work 100 hours a week. What adventure are you talking about? You go from our home to the office. You come back, I mean, it's not that much of an adventure. Maybe he goes through St. James's Park and, likes looking at the swans and, all that stuff in there. But it's not.
He didn't know he had a whole life feeding the birds on his way home. That was his adventure.
So I had to tear him away from that. But I really wanted to come here because we talked about having a family. And of course, it's well known that Denmark's a pretty good place if you want to start a family. And it's turned out to be one of the best decisions that we ever made.
And were you guys married already, or you got married here?
No, that happened here.
Yeah.
2019. So we've been married for a few years now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that whole I'm not done with this adventure thing is a theme that was in our household as well. My husband was very much like, he had this statement saying like, I don't know if I'm done with the Bay Area. I'm not done with the Bay Area. And I was like, well, I'm done with the Bay Area. So I'm moving to Denmark, and you can come if you choose to join us.
It's my time now.
But how do we meet each other, right? Yeah. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. I think that's a fun story, actually, because for a number of reasons, but one of them is that whenever we or I have been around friends, other social circles, different groups, one of the things, especially from foreigners, that I hear consistently is how tough it is to fully integrate and make friends here.
Yeah, 100%.
And I guess if the analogy that we could use for how we met is really like old school dating.
It is.
It
It was
was
a
like,
total meet cute.
yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
movie, meet cute.
I'm getting coffee.
I'm just finishing my coffee.
You take up a whole sofa area, and I'm in there like a crazy person with my kids. And then I see Meg sitting on the sofa, and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of space there for one person. I'll just go see. And I definitely expected you to just answer in Danish, or I wasn't expecting the American accent, and I knew immediately when you opened your mouth that you were foreign. Yeah, and then we just got talking, and yeah, actually, as you said a couple of days ago, we were just laughing about this, how we actually followed through.
100%.
They said, okay, well, exchange numbers. And sometimes we've all done it. You loosely share that number and you think there's no expectation behind that,
Yeah.
really. But I remember thinking to myself, you were so new here that if you did reach out and you wanted to have coffee, I would definitely do it, because I remember what it was like when I first moved here, and it can be definitely challenging to meet friends here. So I was definitely up for that. And I'm so glad that we did that.
I know, me too. I remember I plugged your number into my phone, and I think we all know when we don't quite know the person, but we definitely don't know their last name, but we want to remember who they are on our phone. We have like a descriptor. So mine literally says Selena, UK mom, coffee shop. And it still has that. I haven't changed it. Now I don't change it because I really like it. It reminds me of that. But yeah. And then I remember when I was like, I need to text her. I'm going to give it a week. Like dating, like getting play it cool, give it a week and say, hey, do you happen to remember me? Do you want to grab a coffee? And it's been great ever since. And I was so thrilled that you also were interested in like getting together, and you having been here for so long, like you have a great network of friends. You're really pretty established in many, many ways. So it's nice to feel like you still had open space in your social calendar for me.
Of course, of course.
Oh my goodness.
So I think we should also, I mean, it's probably a good time to talk about why we want to do this podcast. We should introduce that and where this came from, because we have a fun story about how we met, and, we could talk a lot about our background and how we ended up here. But I think it's important to tell the listeners now why we're doing this and
100%.
where it came from. So do you want to start?
Yeah, I think it was one of the things as we were, talking and chatting, we talked about how difficult it is to move in general to a foreign country, and how difficult it is to move when you're older than 20 somethings and you've got a family, and how do you meet the right people? And then how do you get that community going and kind of remind yourself who you are, your friendships, the things that make you who you are outside of being a mom and a wife. And how do we create a community around that? And honestly, for me, when I first moved here, it was really like piecing everything together from random conversations and like Googling everything I can imagine and Google rabbit holes, right? I wish there had really been something that was honest and warm, not perfect, not polished, but guidance from people who had done it, who had been there, who told me about the pitfalls, who could explain random phrases in Danish I couldn't understand but would need to know. And I had been following quite a few amazing Instagram influencers who to this day I love, I still follow. But what I found is it was really great to watch them to get inspired and be excited about moving here and what I was going to see. But I didn't get that sense of, okay, now here's a guide, and what am I actually going to have to deal with on a daily basis? And am I the only one who doesn't know what the heck this means? And what do I do? And so it was sort of like, how could we help close that loop for others?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I obviously mirror some of those feelings, sentiments. Yeah, for sure. I think as well, one of the things that I have changed so much since, like, have I changed? I think I have changed, but I think my life has changed so much, and it's going through all these different chapters is probably the best way to say it. I moved here. I came from London, fast paced, going out every night, very much like the young kind of single life, although I had a boyfriend.
Yeah, 100.
Fast forward to Copenhagen, I'm only here for 1 year and then pregnant with my first kid. And then, boy, does life change after you have a kid.
Yeah.
And
you didn't even have a dog to practice on first.
No. And I found like there's loads of things. You're such a dog person. Come back to that. But you're right. I had no practice, just like most other people. You know, we don't really know what it means to be a parent until you go into it. And I had a little bit of a shock, if I'm being honest. And then my life in Copenhagen just turned on its head.
Yeah.
And I had to then find myself in this new role as a mom, trying to juggle careers. You know, it's all the cliche stuff that you hear all the time from moms, that we're all trying to have it all, and that struggle and the juggle is real. And I actually think that when we set out to do this, we talked about that a lot. And I think we have that in common. That one of the things, we have really different backgrounds, but we have that part in common.
Yeah.
Everybody tends to struggle when you have kids, you have a career, plus we're in another country, in a foreign country. We don't have the support. And there's a lot of goodness to talk about that and to make people, to your point, don't feel alone. Everybody has Googled, you know, all the same things about making friends in Copenhagen. What networks can I go to? What events are on?
Yeah. What's a lively class?
Do I add the cover letter? Do I not add the cover letter?
Do I put my picture on the resume? Do I not put my picture on this resume?
Yeah, and that all comes down, like, we all have this identity, and it just molds with the time. And I think some of us thrive and do really well in managing that, and then others, including myself at times, have really struggled with it. And I have a lot of really good friends, including Danish friends. You know, all of my friends have been amazing to help me through it. And I think we've learned a lot, and we have a lot to share now to help other people manage some of that identity. And where do I fit in Copenhagen? How does this lifestyle work for me? And how can I make it really great here?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's hard to be here. And I think some of us are really good at hiding when we're not thriving. I think that's my thing is I am always going. You know me, I'm constantly oversubscribed in life in general. But it is also a mechanism to forget that maybe I'm dealing with a lot of stuff that's hard, right? And then I'm trying to figure it out. But having so much on my to-do plate, it doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to overthink it.
No, completely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So we know why we want to do this. What can everyone expect from us beyond our witty banter?
Yeah. And, you know, the proof in that remains to be seen, I guess.
Exactly.
Definitely you can expect a lot of real conversations. I think we're very true to ourselves. What you hear is very much how we are with each other, with families. You know, there's no surprises in that sense. You know, we're not putting on a face for the podcast. We wanted to keep it very real. We will talk about some of what you would call like hygiene things where, you know, it's like, how do I pick the best schools? How do you know where the right GPs are? What about this healthcare?
Yeah.
Do we have a healthcare problem? Do we not have a healthcare problem? I mean, this is also the big question. I know
we need healthier insurance. We're in a social
complain about healthcare here. I think that's something we could all be really proud of, that we all like to complain about it. And I don't think that was just specific Denmark either. No. And don't get me started on the UK NHS. The different holidays, the festive periods, the celebrations, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. How are we incorporating that? So there's a lot of like practical stuff in this, and there's a lot of light-hearted. We like to mix it. We will get deep and serious, downright honest, and some of the things, you know, we talk about, they are darker topics.
Yeah, I can too.
One of them is about the loneliness, and then we come at that from an angle of how do you make friends here? What is the best way to go about it? What is it like to suffer from postnatal depression, etc.? So we will get really down into that level too. And we also want to hear from you guys. So a lot of listener questions. We love hearing different stories. So we will be asking you to, you know, send those in.
Write in. Tell us what you're thinking, feeling, what you love, what you want to hear more of, anything. Yeah.
And then, you know, we just joked about it before, the Googling, you know, it's like, and let's talk about some of that practical stuff that we all Google at 2 a.m.
Oh my God, yes. The amount of times that I'm like, I should be asleep And yet my head is so wired with 8 million different things I need to solve before the next day starts.
Yeah.
Like, even just, what does this mean? Please translate. Okay. But I love that we are doing this. Before we close it out, let's talk a little bit about like that first moment we realized that we're no longer on vacation here. Like, kind of, oh shit, I actually live here moment. Because I think when you do move here, that first, it's still it's a little bit like you're on vacation, even though you've gone through all of the craziness, the containers, the movement, the CPR, the banks. You started getting into that. Visas, if you need visas, I needed one. But you get here and it's still fun. You're like, okay, I'm here and I'm excited. And it does feel kind of like you've gone on one of those long vacations until it doesn't. And my first time actually hit me relatively early. I think it was week 2 we were living here. Our house wasn't ready yet. We were at an Airbnb over in Banluza. Love that area, by the way. I didn't know much about it before we moved here. We just happened to pick this place and it was really cute and worked out. Love it. And I didn't know anything about the grocery stores here. Not really. And I went to Netto. And we will one day talk a little bit more about grocery shopping and grocery stores here. But Netto is a discount grocery store here. And so being discount, it doesn't have a fixed aisle system. Yes, you kind of know where the green grocer area is, but then after that, it's just wild, wild west. So there I am, not speaking a lick of Danish, trying to get very, very specific ingredients for a dish I'm planning to make for my family. It is going on 5:30. The clock is ticking. I thought I had the time to just run in, get what I want, and run out.
And was this, can I ask a question? Was this a US recipe?
Oh, 100%. I still use US recipes. Are you kidding me? Everything I have to like convert into metric system, I still don't get it. But there I was, US recipe in Netto, very specific ingredients. And there's no aisles, there's no sense. So that doesn't make sense. Like the the placement of things don't make sense because it's whatever's up there is what you're gonna get. And it took me forever and ever and ever to find what I want. And finally I did. I was so frustrated. I didn't understand it. There's so many choices of laundry soap, for instance, I was trying to grab, and it was whites, sweaties, black. I could barely
Yeah.
find anything. Like, there's so much. And I was like, I can't read it. And I couldn't read it. And there's no internet service for my Google Translate to work. So I was full on winging it circa 1996, no internet. And I had no language skills to help me. And I finally get through it and think, I'm okay, gosh, that's finally done. That was really hard. That's finally done. And I get to the checkout. The woman isn't there. The checkout counter isn't there. So there's the self checkout. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't think I can handle a Danish interaction anyway. I go to checkout and it's all in Danish. And the button to switch to English is not there. And there are things I had to look up. I didn't know how to look them up. I didn't know what the word was. And I am getting increasingly upset. I start freaking out. There's now a line forming behind me. All the Danes are staring at me, being like, have you never seen a self checkout before? I'm getting more and more flustered. Finally,
Sweat is beading on the forehead and on the upper lip.
yes, sweat pouring down. And I get checked out. It's flashing lights at me. And the guy finally comes over and he's like, oh, it's a computer error. It's not you. And I was like, okay, it's not me. But we all know it kind of was me. And I finish it off. I get out of the store, 2 bags in hand, and I burst into tears because I was so mortified and so flustered and so frustrated that I burst into tears. So there I am walking down in the dark because it's wintertime, tears flowing down my face. And this Dane comes up to me and he's so sweet. And he's just like, are you okay? And then I burst into even more tears. This poor guy has to listen to me tell him how I just moved here. It was super overwhelming, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, I hate Netto too. But it just made me feel like, okay, you know what? Even though I don't know who this person is, it's an adopted friend for a quick second who reached out to say, you're going to be okay. You're going to get this. And welcome to Denmark. And then I got home. And of course, my husband was like, where were you? What happened? And I had to explain the whole thing. But yeah, that was definitely my first, yeah, this is no longer a vacation moment.
Yeah, I have definitely had some of those supermarket encounters, let's say, trying to figure out where cocoa powder was and lemon juice and, And I'm sure there's some of you laughing that have also gone through this where, of course the lemon juice is right next to the lemons in the vegetable section. But I have never known another supermarket on earth, even though it's very logical. Actually, once you know, you're like, that makes sense, yeah. But you would never look there unless you look in all like where the condiments are.
Yeah.
But I think I've been here for so long now that there isn't like a single thing moment, I guess, that stands out. And I think it's just, I can't really remember that. But recently I had a reminder, let's say, of like, oh yeah, that's right. I live in another country and I can't just go over and see a family member when I want, and now I have 3 kids. So, I also have those considerations. I can't just pack up and go. And I don't have the same flexibility that I once did. And recently my mom had a heart attack, and not to take the mood down.
I'm so glad she's okay now.
Yeah, she's doing fine now. But she had a heart attack, and, I got very vague messages from home.
Yeah.
And about what was happening. And so, of course, me being me, and I'm the kind of person that, if somebody is in need, it doesn't matter if it's a train, a car, a plane, I'm there.
Yeah.
Which is, my mum knows exactly what I'm like, because she had literally, during her heart attacks, given my dad instructions to not tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Until she was on her way in the ambulance, because
honestly, I met your mom, but it is 100% what she would do. Don't tell Selena. Wait till we figure out what's going.
Yeah, my mom's worried. She's got 3 kids. Like, she can't just come here. I mean, I'm just going to be in hospital. That's the kind of person she is. And yeah, so I also had this moment where I was like, oh, I feel stuck.
Yeah.
And I almost wish that someone was just like, get on a flight and go. I almost needed somebody to give me instructions, because my heart was really torn between my mom and then my kids, and trying to figure out, is it too soon to go? Should I go at this?
Yeah.
But the point being, it's a huge reminder that I live in a completely different country to the rest of my family. And that is not the first time something has happened. It very likely won't be the last.
No.
And the only thing, I was going to say, the only thing you can do is pray. That they don't happen that frequently. And and you never really know. That's the thing with life. You don't really know what's coming at you. And
and it is hard, right? Because there is the aspect of, you've got something back at your original country that is hard, and you want to deal with it, and you're here, and then you also still have what's going on here to deal with.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, what do I do? And you're torn. And when you are living outside of your normal cultural environment, I don't know, at least for me, I don't feel like you have that ease in being able to show that something's falling apart, because Danes don't share that way. They are not a very open, expressive people in general, not in public, not in anything like that.
No.
So there you are. And if you're back in England, you might be able to show that a little bit more. But here, it's not expected that you're going to be showing emotions like that on the street.
Yeah. In that sense, there's a huge difference between particularly England, and I'm from the north of England. So it gets even more extreme there. People are very open, naturally very warm. You can't walk past somebody in the street without them saying hi or good morning. It's that kind of,
which is very different
community feel. And I know in the US as well, they are also very hospitable, and you go there and people can't do enough for you. And I've always had that sense. So it is a little bit of a shock actually when you come here. But we are going to talk about that, actually, more about that, I think, in one of our future episodes.
Yeah.
That comes back to the whole identity crisis that you have. And, you came here as such a person, and now the values in society are so different, and the way people are is so different, and absolutely everything is so different.
And you start
so do you assimilate?
Yes.
Do you just try to fit?
Exactly.
Do it your way? And I think I'm the latter. I think I've adapted, but I'm also a little bit stubborn. I'm English and we do things differently, and I kind of hang on to that as much as I can. But yeah, we will definitely talk about that. But now I guess next time enough. And yeah, exactly. Like, you've heard enough of us today for one day. And what is the next episode? What are we talking about next?
So next time we'll talk about what really happens when the sun goes down. We're in the long Danish winter.
The 8-month winter.
Yeah, we're recording it at the height of the lovely part of the Danish winter. We're getting ready for Christmas. We're getting ready for Yule.
Yeah.
And when you guys hear it, we will be crossing over into
The dark side.
exactly the dark side. And, how do locals make it bearable and hootlit and also enjoyable? Like, they're not just gritting and bearing, they're actually enjoying this sort of special time in the year. As much as we always like to complain about the dark, but it can be quite cozy and quite special. So how do we survive it? And how do we help you survive it?
Yeah, exactly.
But, we'd love to actually hear from you why you moved here, or what was that first, oh shit, this isn't vacation moment, or, oh no, I'm torn between two worlds. What are your experiences, good, bad, and amazing, that has really made you realize that this is you assimilating, you being part of the Danish community? Write to us at the Scandi Shift at gmail.com, all one word. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I think this is also important to say. This is why we wanted to do this. We wanted to share our stories, but we also want to share your stories and help others feel seen and heard and reminded actually that we aren't alone in figuring this out. And yeah, I mean, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us at the Scandi Shift. If you enjoyed this episode and definitely want to hear more, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps others find the show.
And we can't wait to share more of our adventures in Scandinavian life and help you find your own rhythm here in Denmark.
Talk for
Tack for a day.